Welcome to another Adobe Script tutorial. Viewers have asked, and now the time has come. We'll make a script for Illustrator. A viewer suggested making a script to output large format art and cut files. I have a script for this, but it's specific to a client that sends me large format work. I'll show how it's built and point out where to change the layer and PDF preset names. To start, I've gone all the way back to Tutorial 2, because I want a clean base to start from. To begin, I'll rename the script file to 25 and the title. Then remove some things. Anything to do with selecting a PDF preset we won't need, because those will be hard-coded. Remove the variable for preset names and loading them from the app object. In the interface, we won't select a preset, so that can go. Then in the process function, clear it all for a fresh start. The download will have folders begin and end. This trimmed down code will be in the begin folder, where to start from, and the finished code in the end folder. Confirm your work is correct by comparing to it. Before I begin, I want to show what we're working with. Here's an example file for large format output. There are 3 layers: reg marks, cut layer, and art layer. These layer names are how my client does it, and there are 2 PDF presets I use: large format and large format cut file. You might use other layer names and PDF presets. I'll put variables for these at the top, so they're easy to find and change. Update to your own values. var PDF preset art equals large format. var PDF preset cut equals large format cut file. var layer cut equals cut layer. var layer marks equals reg marks. var suffix art equals underscore color. var suffix cut equals underscore CF. Next are variables for the interface. var CB save art. var CB save cut. var RB process active doc. var RB process folder. var RB process open docs. Next, add the options to the interface. First, let's give this panel a name. Add undefined for position and call it process. Let's align the children left. P align children equals left. And give the panel some margins so it looks better. P margins equals 24, 24, 24, 18. Now add a group for the radio buttons. G equals P, add group. And add the buttons. RB process active doc equals G, add radio button undefined active document. RB process open docs equals G, add radio button undefined open documents. RB process folder equals G, add radio button undefined folder. The button and text for the folder stays the same, but let's make the text for the path a little wider. 350. Before I go further, let's break this up a little with comments. Then it's easier to follow, and it helps find things later. Panel, Process, Panel Options. This panel also align children. P, align children, equals left. And set margins like the process panel. P, margins, equals 24, 24, 24, 18. Let's add another comment to separate the options from the OK and Cancel buttons. Under Options, there's already a group, but it doesn't need alignment because the panel is already set to align children. Now add the two options. CB Save Art equals G, add, checkbox, undefined, Save Art File. CB Save Cut equals G, add, checkbox, undefined, Save Cut File. Next, set the default values. RB Process Folder value equals true. Then by default, the option to process a folder is selected. But then check if a document is open. If App, Documents, Length. If true, select Active Document instead. RB Process Folder value equals false. RB Process Active Doc value equals true. Default to save both art and cut files. CB Save Art value equals true. CB Save Cut value equals true. One other detail I want to change here is add the folder method decode. That way, the folder path shows spaces instead of %20. Now to where the script executes. Let's add a try and catch block in case of errors. Try, catch E for error. Move the code to execute into the try block. And for the catch, we'll alert error line plus E line plus a colon plus E message. That lets us know the error and line of code that caused it. That completes the interface. There will be 3 different processes depending on which radio button is selected. I'll create functions for each. Function process doc, 1 parameter, doc. Function process folder, no parameters. Function process open docs, no parameters. The process function will decide which function to call. If RB process active doc value, process doc, app, active document. Else, if RB process open docs value, process open docs. Else, if RB process folder value, process folder. Now we have to fill in what each does. The function process doc is where most everything happens. First, some variables. Var base name, var file art, var file cut, var I, var layer, var save options. Base name is the doc full name, which is a file object. Then get the full name of the file object. Then use a regular expression to find a period, AI, $sign for end of line, case insensitive, and replace it with nothing. That removes the extension. file art equals new file base name plus suffix art plus the extension .pdf. File cut equals new file base name plus suffix cut plus the extension .pdf. The two variables for suffix we define top of script. Make these whatever is used in your workflow. Next, we need a Save Options object. Save Options equals new PDF Save Options. If CB Save Art value, if true, save the art file. First thing is hide the cut layer. To get the layer object, use its name in array brackets. Layer equals doc layers layer cut. Layer cut is the variable we define top of script. It's the name of the cut layer. Now that we have the layer object, hide it. Layer visible equals false. And we're ready to save the art file. Save Options PDF preset. That's not a mistake. In Illustrator, the PDF Save Options property for preset is lowercase p, then upper DNF, and preset. Equals PDF preset art. Doc, save as, file art, save options. Then show the cut layer. Layer visible equals true. And the document is back to where it started. Next, check if we're saving a cut file. If CB save cut value, this one is different. Any layer not cut or marks needs to be removed. Cutting plotters don't want to see any of that. And my client wants the layers locked. Use a loop to go through the layers, but it's important to loop backwards because items are being removed. Each time one is removed, it changes the indexing. So start at the last and increment down to the first. For I equals doc layers length minus 1. This starts with the last one. I is greater than minus 1. I minus minus. The loop ends at index 0. I normally go forward with loops unless there's a reason to go backwards, like in this case. Then forward loops, you know nothing special is happening. But backwards, something is odd, with a reason for it. Just remember, if removing array elements, always go backwards. For each layer of the document, test if it's the cut layer or marks. Layer equals doc layers I. If layer name equals layer marks, or layer name equals layer cut, make it visible and lock it. Layer visible equals true. Layer lock equals true. And continue to skip the rest. Otherwise, remove the layer. Layer remove. Any layer not the marks or cut layer is removed. Now we're ready to save the document. Save Options PDF preset equals PDF preset cut. Doc save as, file cut, save options. And finally, close the document. Doc close, save options, do not save changes. That's how to save art and cut files for one document. Now let's do the same to a folder of documents. First, a few variables. var doc, var file, var files, var I. Files equals new folder, txt folder input, text. That makes a folder object of the selected folder. Then call the folder method get files. This returns an array of file objects in the folder. Now loop through the file objects. We don't want anything a hidden file or not an Illustrator file. For I equals 0, I is less than file's length, I++. File equals files I. If not, file hidden, and the regular expression period, AI, $sign for end of string, and I for case insensitive, the regular expression method test returns true if the pattern matches. Pass to the test method the file name. If the file isn't hidden and it ends with .ai, the result is true. Open the file and process it. Doc equals app open file. Process doc. That's all we need here. Now to process open documents. We only need one variable, var I. Again, loop backwards because documents are being closed. For I equals app documents length -1. I is greater than -1. I minus. Process doc app documents I. That's it. Let's try it out. Back in Illustrator, run the script. We'll do the active document. Done. Let's see what we got. The result is a file with suffix CF and another with suffix color. I'll open these in Illustrator because that will show the layers. The art file is flattened to a single layer. The PDF preset does this, but the cut file is different. In the cut file PDF preset, the option Preserve Illustrator Editing Capabilities is enabled, so the layers are preserved. This is how my client's cutting plotter wants the cut files. Your cutting plotter may work different. Edit the layer names and PDF presets however fits your situation. The options to process open documents or a folder should work the same. But there's one more detail we should address. What if you have a crease layer for where to score items rather than cut? Some large format work I do have these, but not very often. In my case, this layer is included with the cut file. Let's add code to look for the layer. First, add a variable for the crease layer name. var layer crease equals crease layer. Use whatever name you call the layer. Then go to the process doc function. Get the layer so we can hide it. But there's a problem. To get a layer by inserting the name in brackets only works if the layer exists. We'll try it. Layer equals doc layers layer crease. Save and run the script. It's an error. No such element. Because this document doesn't have a crease layer, but some might. So we need a better way to get layers. The solution is a new function, getLayer. The function needs two parameters, the doc object and the name of the layer to find. One variable, var I. Loop through the doc layers for one matching the name. For I equals 0, I is less than doc layer's length, I++. If doc layers I, name, equals name, we found it. Return the layer object. Return doc layers I. Otherwise, the loop keeps going. If the name is never found, we end up after the loop. Return null. Now to use the function. Instead of array brackets, call the new function. Layer equals getLayer doc layer crease. If layer alert found crease layer. Save and run the script. The alert never appears because the layer doesn't exist, so the function returns null, which is falsy, meaning if not strictly compared, the result equates to false. So the result of if layer is false. Now update the code for saving the art file. We'll need two separate layer variables, one for cut and another for crease. Rename var layer to layer1 and add var layer2. Get the cut layer with the new function. Layer1 equals getLayer doc layer cut. I won't test the layer for null because if a cut layer doesn't exist, we want an error. There should always be a cut layer. Only the crease layer is optional. Change the crease layer to layer 2. Replace the alert with a line that hides the layer. Layer 2, visible, equals false. Then after saving, make both layers visible. For layer 2, again test if null because it might not exist. If layer 2 visible equals true. The code for saving the cut file only needs one change. It doesn't directly ask for a layer by name, so the new function isn't needed. But add to the test for layer names layer crease, or layer1 name equals layer crease. That way, the crease layer is also included in the cut file. The new function getLayer is useful in any script for Illustrator. You'll want to keep that one handy. There's more we can add to this script, which I will do. I'll post the finished version to my website and add a link in the description. But for this tutorial, there's one last concern we should consider. I'll demonstrate. Let's say you make changes to the source file. I'll add a layer and paste in some content. Then run the script. And our files are created. But there's a problem. I didn't save the document before I ran the script. Open the source document again. The new layer isn't there because it was never saved. However, it is in the saved art file. But we want the source file to keep any changes, and we might forget to save it first. The solution is simple. In the process function, before calling process.doc, save it. App, active document, save. Now try it. Again, I'll add a layer, paste in some content, and run the script. And reopen the source file. The layer was saved. So that fixes the problem. We also need the same for open documents. Each one should be saved. Go to the function process_open_docs. In the loop, before calling process.doc, save it. App, documents, save. Then before each document is processed and closed, it is saved. I've made a download for the code. Get it at the link in the description. Like this video and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. All feedback is welcome. Click the video or playlist on screen for more. Thank you for watching.